Hello and welcome to the Tremors Saga. You put words in. That's where you put words in. Hi, you don't actually give a fuck. You're here because you looked up the word Tremors. And you're like, whoa, what is this? Why are you watching? Why should you be doing anything here? Well, I'll give you a reason. Bert! Do you have any more bullets? Did you check all your pockets? You know, as I lie here, I can't help but comment. The reason I am out of 9mm rounds is I was not properly briefed. And the reason for that is this mission was not properly researched. If certain people had bothered to gather intelligence on the creatures before bumbling into the situation, we wouldn't be down here with single-shot big boys when we should be packing full auto, preferably belt-fed. Shut up! They're Precambrian life forms, Bert. How's anyone supposed to research Precambrian life forms? What difference does it make now? We're stuck in a goddamn room with a bunch of what's-its trying to eat us. I mean, I have done this before, and I did not like it. Oh, so everything's my fault now. So things didn't turn out exactly the way I planned. If I had the right tools, I'd finish the job. Please! Could you all just cool it? Now look, nobody has heard from us since last night. Right? Which means they're gonna be out looking for us. Right? So all we have to do is sit quietly and wait. Okay? Bert! Alright. That's from Tremors 2 Aftershocks. And if you manage to make it past that and you're into here, what? Alright, I got some news for you, Tremors fan. Universal took the Tremors series from all the people that made it after 30 years of work. And you're watching lies and the equivalent of torture porn. Okay, horrible, right? You're like, what the fuck? Okay, you obviously know what you're talking about with Tremors. Why are you telling me this? Well, you're going to find out. I don't think you're ready. It's horrifying. Boom! We start in 1970. A Naval Reserve base, often like New Mexico or Phoenix or somewhere down, southwesty. And a young Steve Wilson, just out on the range. He's taking a hike and he sees a little boulder off in the distance. And he decides, I'm gonna climb atop that boulder and have myself a little sit. This is a very honest and loving Steve Wilson impression. Steve, Michelle, love you guys. And Steve Wilson, sitting atop this boulder, actually comes up with an idea. What if I couldn't get down off of this rock? What if there were some kind of creature that made it so? Let me take that idea and pop it in my old Steve Wilson back pocket. And I mean that again in the nicest way, because that's truly what he did. Look up the entire story, if I can. Link to literally Steve Wilson telling me that himself right there. Boom. Hey. Puts it in his back pocket. Wonderful idea, save it for later. That's the 70s. Flash forward, 80s. Steve Wilson making some movies. He has a new friend now and writing partner Brent Maddock coming in to help. They start writing some movies together. Short Circuit, Batteries Not Included, Do a Draft on the Land Before Time. Everything's going all right. Hollywood is Hollywood does. Keep moving. And you have your great, wonderful producer, Nancy Roberts, who's like, all right, so things are flowing and it going. What else you got for us, Steve? Steve, SS. I always hate using SS because it sounds Nazi, so I use Steve. Steve, well, I've got this lovely idea about creatures underground. Well, oh my God! Let's print that. Let's do it. That's amazing. But we can't call it land sharks, Steve. But I want to call it land sharks. But, Steve, we can't. Seriously, it's a wonderful little bit of notage, if I can put it up there. Actual note from Nancy Roberts, we can't call the movie Land Sharks. Made an SNL skit out of it anyway. We have this lovely little movie, Land Shark, getting shopped around to networks. Nobody wants it. It's a mix of comedy and horror and romance, bromance, adults, kids, monsters. Nobody knows what to do. Managed to get the script in front of a young Gale Anne Hurd. Oh, hey, yeah, shit, she knows what she's doing. Terminator, fucking, oh my God, why am I blanking on everything but Terminator right now? Oh my God. See, Gale Anne Hurd, Jurassic Park, too. Just a fabulous producer. I'll just end it there. Gets the script, moving it around. Eventually gets it seen by, I think, Jim Jekyll's at Universal. Has a sit-down talk. All right, cool, yeah. You know what? Let's do this movie. This is kind of our bag. We can do this. We'll give you, $15 million. Get some big names in there. And, that's how you draw in a crowd, apparently. Not a story or anything like that. Eventually, they start filming Tremors. They get Kevin Bacon and Reba, a name so big that her name is Reba McEntire. She is only Reba. She has reached Elvis status. Is there another Reba? Do you know one? So, if that's not a big enough star for you, what really is? And Universal says, oh, okay, that $15 million we were going to give you, you know what, let's slash it to 10. And he can deal with that. Yeah, I know, Kevin Bacon's having a baby with Kira Sedgwick at the same time as we're making this movie. We don't really care. Go fuck yourself. Oh, wait, you need an extra $1 million for a very crucial scene that, defines the entire movie? Maybe. It depends. Okay, we'll give you the $1 million, but you only have one day to shoot it. Oh, and it still won't matter. You still won't get all of the footage that you actually need. And you'll have to sub in headlights in the distance as car lights. Actual thing, if you look it up, $1 million part of the production with the car sinking into the ground and the doctor's wife being taken down with it originally ended with her breaking the window, getting out on top of the vehicle, and again, if I can storyboard it, climbing out and still being sunken down into the ground. Gave them an extra $1 million to shoot this scene, and they shot it. It's incredibly important. Still weren't able to finish it. Literally only had one night and time to do it, and that's what we got. Kind of fascinating and amazing, isn't it? Those two headlights in the distance are a sort of cultural icon. It's an image we all know very well, but it only happened because they ran out of time and money. And it's just the first Tremors movie, and that's a lovely production. Read up about it in the Seeking Perfection book by Jonathan Melville, a great behind-the-scenes walkthrough of everything Tremors. Everything that I'm saying, you can look up there. I haven't. This first 3 quarters is not anything new that Jonathan Melville hasn't already gone through. This is more just adding some contextual information for what comes after. This is the last 5 years. Tremors gets made. Lovely movie. Kevin Bacon, Fred Ward, Michael Gross, Reba. Gets made on a budget of $11 million. Makes $16 million at the box office. Makes its money back. Which, on a movie set where it's first-time directors, writers, and they're able to bring their parents in, and that's a good win. Kind of a good time, good job for everybody. We'll take that and just live with it. Flash forward, because let's say 7 years, because 1988, 1989 is when they were shooting Tremors. They still delayed the release of it by a year. So 89, we flash forward another 7 years to 1996, and Universal comes up. Hey, whoa! Guess what? Mm-hmm. You know, that Tremors movie, we can make a big bunch of bigger bucks on. I don't know why I'm using this vaudevillian accent to represent Universal, but they're a 1920s studio, so it just seems appropriate. But anyway, because, you know, yo, Steve, Brent, Nancy, Ron, I'm telling you guys, Stampede, we could take Tremors, and we could put it on an empty box and sell it. And I really wish that that was an exaggeration of a quote or a paraphrase, but if I can, right there. Tremors, we can put it on an empty box and sell it. Hashtag Universal. Legit quote. We got Universal coming up to old Stampede Entertainment again. They literally made an entire movie studio production company based off of one word in this fucking movie. Stampede. Stampede, Earl! Get out the way! Get out the way! You dumb shit. I could just sit here and do Tremors impressions all day, but we don't need that unless you do. Flash forward 1996, we can sell Tremors out of an empty box. And, can you write us a sequel? The more big names we can put in it, the more money we'll give you, obviously. I still don't entirely understand the math on that. And an original script with Kevin Bacon's Valentine McKee and Reba McEntire's Heather Gummer returning. Boom. Something that I had to find almost illegally and print for all of you guys to see. Actually have this original script with these people returning and doing their stuff, and it's actually great and awesome. Shows Bert, Michael Gross's character, off in a totally different light, and even though it is very much the same script as what we end up getting with Christopher Garter's Grady, it is almost the same lines as Val, as Kevin Bacon's Val would say. It is merely the way in which the actor presents them that is different, and it's quite fun to read, knowing and seeing the Tremors 2 Aftershocks that was made, and seeing lines that were used and not used and reused, and okay, a lot of this is just an actor playing things differently. It kind of works. The rest, there's lots of things cut and, obviously combined. They used the ending from it as the ending to one of the episodes in the TV show, Shriek and Destroy, where they're actually using old 1800s musket loaders to attack Shriekers. It's a great little scene in the original too, that, so good they had to use it again. They couldn't just let it go to waste. I don't blame them. So you have this original to Tremors 2 Aftershocks getting made, getting put out, and alright, we come up with this idea for Shriekers. Honestly, Steve Wilson's love of 1950s B monster movies always shines through in his ability to one-up himself in, okay, we did that, we were prepared for that, but what about this next thing? Are we really prepared for that? And evolving. Because the idea of Shriekers coming out of graboids and then multiplying asexually is just brilliant from a monster's perspective. Yeah, I said asexually, not hermaphroditic. What they say in the movie is wrong. You just give the 1990s some slack for that. And so this movie comes out. We were looking at that original $15 million budget for the first movie. Well, we can't get any big names back. We only get Fred Ward and Michael Gross. Still big names. Adventure of Remo Williams and Family Ties, anybody. And get these guys back. Get Helen Shaver and Christopher Garden. And make this movie fun little flick. Honestly, it was my first introduction to the Tremors universe. Tremors 2 Aftershocks. It's many people's. You can look it up online and people will either say, I watched the first one in theaters, or I watched the first one on cable and I loved it, or I watched the second one and had no idea that there was a first one, and then I watched the first one and was like, whoa, I love the second one more, but that first one's pretty good. And it's a very weird thing where a lot of people have been introduced to Tremors 2 Aftershocks before Tremors 1. I actually lived under the assumption that Tremors 2 Aftershocks was the original, despite having a 2 in his name. I watched it when I was 5. Give a person a break. You know. This movie comes out and does well enough on VHS home video that it almost begins to create a market for it. That's what the first Tremors movie was doing. It was busting onto the scene in a sense and saying that yes, these movies that maybe people are afraid to go out to see in a theater with all their friends because they're not sure of how they'll be looked at, they have no problem with watching at home. It's a very comforting, pleasurable, like, oh yeah, this is a good time, we'll have fun with this, nobody's judging me. And then, oh, lo and behold, that's pretty much everybody. Everybody has a fear of being judged by other people, so they're just watching more movies at home. You have Tremors 1, Tremors 2 doing excellent numbers on VHS. And I only say that because that is what has been told. It's doing excellent numbers. You don't ever get any actual fucking numbers because you'll tell you, oh yeah, it cost, what I told you, $11 million for the first Tremors movie. It's $5 million for the second one, $6 million for number 3, and $4 million for 4. And those are, I'm not, maybe switch the 4, 5, and 6 around, honestly. But that is the numbers that you're given. You're just given flat $6 million, $5 million, $4 million. You can't find any kind of okay, well, if these are making enough profit on the back end to keep making movies like this, then where's that the signature of that profit? And the only thing that you can find is this whole idea of a $514 million evaluation of the Tremors franchise, which doesn't seem to make any sense for a bunch of movies about giant worms that nobody seems to like, even though we're still making more of them. Kind of weird, right? This is 1996. Universal comes back 4 years later and says, you know what? That Tremors 2 did so good on VHS. We need the Tremors 3, and it's gotta be back to perfection. Again, I really love that accent for those people. Because it, sums up the attitude. And obviously, Tremors 3 Back to Perfection gets made. And as I've been saying, Universal keeps pointing out, people coming back and paying, and the more big names that you can have in your movie, the better. We finally reached this point in the franchise where it is almost just Michael Gross exclusively showing up. Except for the fact that you have over half of the cast from the first one returning. So you have Michael Gross as Bert, you have Charlotte Stewart's Nancy Sterngood, and Ariana Richards as Mindy Sterngood, Robert James Melvin Plug, Tony Gennaro's Miguel Sanchez. Okay, so there's 5 people of a town of 14 that are coming back. So a third of your cast is literally coming back from the first movie. Oh no, we don't care. You still don't get enough money to do anything. But also, we're making so much money that we want you to then make another one. Starting to make sense? All of this math that I'm putting at you, or you're just like, that it makes no fucking sense. This Tremors 3 Back to Perfection gets made. It's the year 2000. One of the most meta of all Tremors productions, because you can begin to tell the behind the scenes feelings is they keep giving us money for this. That makes no sense. When they tell us that there's no money to be made, well, I guess we're just gonna we're gonna wing it. Everything's fucking winging it from here. Quite literally, let's put wings on shriekers and make them fly. Winging it, man. There's fucking fire coming out of their asses, and still somehow completely plausible. Again, Steve Wilson. Whoever, you guys are just brilliant. Honestly, that's a lot to be given to Alec Gillis and Tom Woodruff Jr. of ADI Studios for a lot of their monster designs, creature effects, going into the actual storytelling of the animals. They're not monsters, they are animals. And that's where you get the great thing in the third one where, oh no, you can't actually hunt graboids. They're an endangered species. Like, wow, who the hell is thinking about this stuff behind the scenes? Someone who clearly gives a shit. This third movie gets made, again, like I'm saying, they give them no money to make them while simultaneously saying that they make so much money that we need another one. And they come up and say, hey, Joe, Stampede Entertainment. Nummy, nummy, nummies. That third one, it was terrible. But we want you to make a TV show. Like, yeah, that third movie was so terrible that we want you to make a TV show. Am I in my own reality at a certain point where, like, I don't understand if things aren't working, why would you keep putting money into them? Or just don't say that they're not working. Say that they're doing fantastic. Like, that's really what's confusing. Flash forward 3 years, and Steve Wilson and Brent Maddock and Nancy Roberts and Ron Underwood all dust off what they originally had as an idea for the 1990s version of the TV show, which was Val and Earl as monster hunters going around the nation as such and fighting things such as killer toasters and El Blanco and a fisherman who looks like a vampire. Well, a vampire who looks like a fisherman, you know? And they need the help from everybody to be able to do this. I think there's a Sasquatch episode where you find out that the Sasquatch was actually that the Yeti was putting on a Sasquatch outfit so he could stop people from fucking with him as Sasquatch. Strange things, right? Like I said, the killer toaster thing. Like, what the hell is this? Actually, some of the ideas do end up getting used in the later episodes of the TV show. There's a shrimp monster that's actually derived from Jurassic Artemia bacteria that lives in the water. El Blanco, originally made for the 90s series, shows back up in here. There's one that I really want. There's a cute little hamster with teeth. That would have been great if I could put that image there. And yeah, Universal said, alright, we want this TV show. Sci-Fi is coming to us. Give us what you can. And they write it. You know, they're out there writing it. They get a whole team of people. This is where they bring in David Israel for showrunner. Babs Grayhosky ends up writing some great episodes. Glenn Maddock even starts joining the team here, Brent's brother. And, alright, so, yeah, Universal has you go off and make this TV show because the movies were so successful. And then, while you're airing the TV show out of order, that's right, you can look this up. If you think Firefly is bad, you should see what the Sci-Fi Channel did to the order of the Tremors series. Absolutely unwatchable. Like, I mean, literally, you just get fucking confused. It was so bad that they made them film bookends for one episode. So that way you wouldn't be confused because they had fucking fucked up the order so much. That's Sci-Fi, too. That's not Stampede Entertainment. They fought. They weren't even allowed in the editing bay of the TV show. They fought tooth, line, sinker, and nail to get everything that they could done in under the time and pressure. And no, you know, Universal Sci-Fi NBC is just like, yeah, we don't really care. Fuck you. We're just going to air these episodes however we feel. Oh, wait, nobody's liking this. We're going to blame that on you and cancel the show before it's even, you know, done airing. Before it was even done filming, they knew they were canceled. Again, another Firefly situation without a shitty Joss Whedon, you know, of just like, oh, wow, yeah, these people were making something and knew it and then watched it crumble around them. Because then you have this wonderful situation of Tremors the series and Tremors 4 having back-to-back productions. And I don't mean like, oh yeah, you know, they finished one and then moved on to the next. I mean that Michael Gross was not able to be in every episode of Tremors the series because they couldn't wait 2 weeks. And I mean, by they, Universal was pushing Stampede to make Tremors 4, and you had to start now. You had to start. We got to get Michael out. We got to get him out now. Get the Tremors 4 on the wheels, on the track. Let's go. Yeah, and literally would a delay of 2 weeks in either direction for
either the movie or the TV show allows him to be in both, allows the entire production companies of both movie and TV show to actually then work together. Be like, all right, we're done with the TV show. Cool. Now we pack up our stuff. Now let's go over to the movie. It seems kind of like what you should do, right? You've done that the last 15 years of, oh yeah, you go from Tremors 1 to 3. Okay, you trust us enough, like, just let us do our, damn jobs. It doesn't happen. Nope. We don't care. Michael Gross, get him out now. And we got to shoot this movie now. We got to get it now. And they still ended up delaying the VHS release by a year. They had finished the entire Tremors for The Legend Begins and delayed it by a year. I know, right? Yet after all that, like, oh, we need to go now, 2 weeks stuff. Kind of horrible. That's how you decide to treat people. And say at the same time, you're making us so much money, hand over fist, like, we gotta have more. Like, you reach a certain point of, like, you can either say to me that we're making no money, or you can say to me that we're making so much money we don't know what to do. But when you fucking flip-flop, like, you can go to the Stampede Entertainment site and see Steve Wilson answer every single kind of question about merchandise. Where is our Graboid and Tremors and Ass Blaster and Shrieker merchandise? And I would love to. I would sure love to do that, but Universal just won't let Stampede do anything. And I mean that impression in the nicest way, Steve, if you are watching this, where you're just like, no, this guy answered questions for the last, 6 years about a movie series that he got kicked out of. And still has the ability to say, yeah, we could be making tons of money. You ask him about, oh yeah, what about the Tremors game? Oh yeah, a Tremors game would make a fortune. Make an absolute fortune. This guy is seeing the numbers behind everything, seeing all of us and how much we all love and buy Tremors stuff. He would eventually be like, yeah, I can do the math. I don't even know any of this, and I can still do the math behind the scenes. If you had the actual numbers in front of you, yeah, you would be like, oh, fucking shit, man. There's fucking, 1 billion people on the planet. There's 7 billion, and 1 billion of them all watch Tremors. Holy shit. Even if half of that fucking, gave a shit enough to, buy something. It's a movie that brings people together when they actually watch it. So all of this money being made, all of this happening in the background, and Universal says, yeah, Tremors 5, let's go, we gotta get it. We need it now, man, now. Give it to us now. And that was 2005. Give us Tremors 5 in 2005. And then for the next 10 years, not an exaggeration, Universal strung Stampede along through 7 to 8 rewrites saying, yeah, your script's just not good enough. That's a Steve Wilson. No, your script's not good enough. No, better, faster, more graboids. Get him in there, now. And, 10 years. 10 years of, that draft's not good enough, do it again. All right, nope, that one's not good enough. And Stampede has their own, we'll rewrite it. That's not, you can watch Steve Wilson say in a lovely thing, a lovely piece done by Graffiti with Punctuation, Hollywood Unseen. Oh, yeah, if we didn't think it was funny enough or that wasn't good enough, we'd spice it up, add things to it, go back and forth. For 10 years. You're working on other projects, but, that's your one main thing. Go onto the IMDb page of either Steve Wilson, Brent Maddock, Nancy Wilson, or Nancy Roberts. See just how sad it is that they were making all of these movies in the 80s, and then Tremors comes along, and, they make Tremors for 25 years. and nothing. Not even any like TBAs, because it's so hard. Steve Wilson eventually had to write a novel for 80 Cats, like to move away from the entire Hollywoodness of it. And you have Universal over here asking you for 10 years, like, come on, make this movie. Oh, wait, your right of first refusal clause just expired. Oh, wait, never mind. Bye. You guys cost too much for low-budget pictures. We don't want to pay you anymore. Goodbye. We don't think, this is legit words again, we don't think that you're qualified for low-budget productions, despite the fact that you have worked exclusively on low-budget productions for us for your entire time. And yeah, Universal basically tells Stampede to fuck off. Fuck you, goodbye. And not like the cool Kevin Bacon, fuck you, but just a... and just kicks him out. Writing Tremors for 25 years, man. They are the Tremors people. And you just kick them out. That seemed like a good idea. It seemed like this is smart or well thought out. No. And to add insult to injury, you literally take that script that they were working on for 10 years that they didn't get to see made, and you just fucking strip it. You take over half of it and just make it anyway. And don't give them any fucking money for it, but you take their script, literally use up their ideas, and just like, man, fuck off, man. They weren't good enough when we had to pay you, but now that we don't have to pay you, they're amazing. And yeah, you can seriously, again, look up the synopsis for Tremors 5, Gummer Down Under, and see how, yeah, a lot of it is basically just lifted to make Tremors 5 Bloodlines. The only major differences are the introduction of Burt Gummer's son, Travis Welker, played by Jamie Kennedy, which is, I mean, whatever. We can go back and forth on that decision. It's a decision. And the taking out of the mini graboids, what are called mini G's in the script, those little baby ones, the dirt dragons from Tremors 4, and introducing them into this world because nobody's really seen them yet, and as a terrifying threat of just like swarming hundreds of them, just hundreds of little baby G's jumping out of the ground and swarming, and Bert has no idea what to do, and they take that wonderful idea and they turn it into fucking tentacles that detach from the mouth. Yes, imagine your tongue and decided that it didn't want to be in your mouth. It was like, ugh. I don't know how to say it. And now I have a tongue again, because that makes complete and utter fucking sense. Even for a monster that turns into little baby versions that walk around with heat seekers on its head that then also turn into monsters that can fly via the power of its butts. Having its tongue come out of its mouth is kind of just like, honestly, I want to use the word overkill, but it's almost like underkill. Like he didn't even really think that idea through all the way. Boo. Boo. And that's not even getting into how they redesigned the graboids and ass blasters. Iconic designs of that pre-Cambrian, prehistoric beak you do not see on any other creature anywhere. Literally something so cool that, you can't fucking replicate it. The only thing that comes close, and this is because of Alec Gillis and Tom Woodruff Jr. working on the movie, is Starship Troopers, the bugs, But that's because they actually reused a Shrieker design for the look of the arachnids. But again, still, like, that, you look at that, if I could show, side by side of a Shrieker and an arachnid, from, like, yeah, still totally different. That 4-piece, totally iconic. But you know what? Fuck it. I guess, Universal knows better than the people that made them millions of dollars for the last 25 fucking years and redesigns an entire monster. Not just one, but two. It makes one look like a blasted ash version of itself. An ass blaster goes to a blastered ass. Doesn't even look good. And yeah, you have that. Just wonderful, like, let's just butcher all these ideas, everything that we've had. We built up this goodwill of creativity, and we're just gonna smash it with a fucking jackhammer. What the shit? And yeah, that happens. It's wonderful. It's terrifying. And honestly, that's where Jonathan Melville's Seeking Perfection book ends. So if you have that and you know that, now you're almost officially caught up with the story. Honestly, the newest thing is Hollywood Unseen's Tremor 5, Come Down Under. Again, check it out. This happens, and Tremors had made, 5 movies almost, and a TV show over the course of 25 years. It's respectable. You do what you can. There's no Fast and the Furious, but I don't think that's the idea. To the point where then you literally have 3 Tremors movies released in the space of 5 years. Not even that. Actually, 3 Tremors movies and 1 canceled TV show released in the space of 5 years. All while saying, well, there must be enough money to be making these. And really, I could have an entire another video on the stalled production of Kevin Bacon's Tremors pilot. It was made because somebody obviously saw money in it. Blumhouse. Or the others. Kevin Bacon himself even. Turning back the clock on his old, I'm doing a movie about giant worms to, I'm doing a movie about giant worms. And I've always felt like Kira had a big part to play in telling Kevin, go fuck yourself. Go do that goddamn movie about worms. I mean, come on, Peralta. Really? Sorry. Wrong show. That gets made. So made that there's a script, everything finished, VFX production copy of this episode. They show it to SXSW and show it to a couple of other people, I guess, because then eventually Sci-Fi is like, a year later after it's all done, we just don't think we want this. I know, I'm looking at you and you're like, what the fuck? But I'm also, we're what the fucking together here. All of this time, always spent, and then it's just never, we just don't think it was worth it. Well, then why did you do it in the first fucking place? That happens. Gets canceled. Somebody finds the pilot script, leaks it online. It's actually great. I find out that what a lot of people would have hated about it are truly just meta jokes on the entire series. And as much as Universal had told the writer Andrew Miller to exclude references to other things, you can still feel a lot of Tremors 2 through 4 and the TV show in that original pilot script. Very, very nicely done. Anyway, that gets canceled. Because it sucks. But doesn't suck so much that we can't tell everybody about it. But then also sucks so much that we can't release it, even though we're releasing these other sucky movies right alongside of it. Which brings me almost up to speed to where we're at today. And Tremors 7. And a young man by the name of Michael Gross. Now I know what you're all thinking. What the fuck? Why did you save until right now to start talking about what is arguably the biggest character in the entire Tremors franchise? Well, there's a very good specific reason, and that's because they fucking killed him. And I really, really wanted to wait until I'd had like the diehard Tremors fans all the way at 40 minutes through this to say, yeah, no, they killed off Burt Gummer in the most unceremonious and tragic of ways. Not with story, but because it just seemed like a good idea at the time. Yeah, if I can cut to that. Just right there. Universal felt that it had more emotional impact to just kill off Burt. Never mind that it didn't really make sense in terms of what you were trying to do with the story again. No, we just feel it's a good, cheap emotional punch, and yeah, after all this time. And even Michael Gross, this is something that he fought back on, and, fought for a level of ambiguity in the production and saying, well, I mean, guys, we have made 7 of these in a TV show. Who the hell knows what could happen at all? If you ask Michael Gross, they may have killed off Burt Gummer, but he jumped out of the way and is now living life in a, wheelchair with rocket-propelled grenades on it. That's again another true quote from Michael Gross. He fought for all of this ambiguity, and you do get some in the final movie with the sunglasses and the hat. Ask yourself, where the fuck did those come from? He was wearing them as he died. But then the fucking people behind the scenes go and smash any of that ambiguity with a 18-pound sledge fucking hammer by basically creating an in memoriam segment montage at the end of their movie, and to tack it on to add that a little bit of emotional extra weight. And you're watching it, and you know what? Shittily enough, it's a montage about Burt Gummer that doesn't include anything of Burt Gummer from the TV show. It includes 2 clips of him as his grandpa, who's not Burt Gummer, from a movie that's set 100 years in the past. But yeah, this TV show that has 13 hours of footage, that's almost more than the entire series combined. We're not going to actually include any footage of Michael Gross's efforts as Burt Gummer in that. No. And then you watch it and you're kind of like, did Michael Gross die? For real? For fucking real? If I can play it next to you, like, you watch the goddamn thing, and you're like, did he die? Like, really? I had to look it up afterwards. I was watching it on a Saturday, kind of having a fun romp, and then, the movie doesn't really telegraph the death in any way, so you're kind of just left, what? Okay, that, fine. Not how I would have done it, but okay. And then, like I said, you find out more behind the scenes. I, made one comment on Reddit. It blew up so much that I had to go look up. Well, okay, like, if people are calling me stupid for this, like, let's look and see how stupid I am. Oh, no, I'm not. All right, yeah, Michael Gross fought for this more than I did, even. Michael Gross cared more about not dying than I did, even, because of course he would. Because for the last 30 years, he has been carrying this fucking, series. And that's not to take any effort away from the people at Stampede or anything either, too. It's just more like, yeah, it was the only actor that's shown up. And I don't, like, if you actually read, all of the other actors would have loved to have done it. Honestly, everyone always says, where's Reba? She is unfortunately filming, or she's doing not filming, she is doing fucking musical tours, like, all the time. She just has no time for it. If someone were to actually schedule a Tremors movie around Reba, she could be in it. Like, she's almost wants to be in it more than Michael Gross has. She has just not had the ability to. And again, most of the Tremors cast, why do you think Fred Ward came back? There was no need for him in the 3rd, 4th, and on, so of course he didn't. But you have the 3rd movie where you have literally most of the cast coming back, so all those people must have had a great time. And I mean that in, like, most of the cast, because it's everybody who didn't die. Honestly, you look at Walter and Nestor, And technically, the doctor's wife and Edgar and old Fred, that takes that town population 14 down to 9. So shit, it is over half the cast returning. Because technically, Finn Carter's Rhonda LeBeck isn't even a member of the town. So you have the whole fucking town returning. And here's Michael Gross, still just fucking static line, man. Throughout everything, always doing what he can. And that's even when, you have other characters coming in and out. You look at the TV show, Marcia Strassman as Nancy Sterngood. Charlotte Stewart would have easily done it, but she was currently filming something that tied her up in contracts. Shitty, but what do you do? Same thing with Susan Chuang as Jodie Chang and Leela Lee. Scheduling contracts. Boom. Done. Ariana Richards. Just, honestly, Ariana has stopped acting so much that they don't know how to find her sometimes. It's kind of adorable. But she does painting. She's actually an artist. It's kind of amazing. If you can, look her up at Gallery Ariana. So, to kill off someone like that, after all that time, you're like, what in the actual fuck here? And then you find out Michael Gross really didn't want it either. And, I sit here as a Tremors fan, and I halfway blame myself. Not for any real reason, because it's not like I'm doing anything. But, this has been the last 6 years. It's 2021 now. 2015, that's 6 years that this has happened. That I have just watched movies, 3 movies just come out and just watch them and not know anything and not care. Or not, I do care once I found out, obviously, but if you don't know, how can you care? That's why I'm making this video. Because I've exhausted every, possible written form. I know that there's people who can't read what I write, so why don't I just say it for you? It makes it a lot easier. And this whole Tremors 7 thing is a really specific way of bringing itself into the world. And that's with one little thing right at the end of his credits. Celebrate Burt Gummer Day. It's actually in the movie too. There's one of the bad guys is, there's actually a Burt Gummer Day. He's like a superhero in some circles. A legend, even. I don't know why that was Australian. The guy's supposed to be British. And I'm like, what the fuck? Burt Gummer Day? I've been a fan of this series literally since I was 5. How the fuck do I not know about Burt Gummer Day? I was the first person to find out that the sleeping bag at the beginning of Tremors actually foreshadows how they're going to kill the graboid at the end of the movie. If you watch, it's great. Earl falls out of the truck the same way Stumpy does. It's awesome. Again, if I can video that right there, or someone else can for me, because I am not good at editing. And I'm partially to blame, man. I have taken part in this by watching these movies and not looking further, not caring, not knowing. And so people ask me, why do you care? Why do you give a shit now? Well, that's the fucking goddamn reason. Be useless for 6 years and realize that you just contributed to a system of making things worse, and you'll try to do what you can to make it better. And that's where we're at. And honestly, if you've read the links and you're here now, then I don't know. Go to the Stampede website. Go check out Steve Wilson's answers. Like I did and realize, oh shit, there is a way. I found it. There's a wonderful lawyer by the name of Mark Toberoff who's been working to get people back their IPs, like Jim and John Thomas of The Predator, or James Cameron in The Terminator. I think he's suing Disney even. And because of all the wonderful people that watch and have listened to me and understood what I'm saying, you have sent questions to Steve Wilson's way and allowed me to see these answers to the questions, which one of them being, did you know your copyright clause expires in 35 years and you can get your property back? No, I did not. Let me see what I can do about it. I sent Mark Toberoff to the Stampede people's way. I'd already been corresponding with Steve for a while, realizing the futility of the situation overall. And Steve actually manages to email me back that, oh no, there is no futility if we kind of work with this Mark here and we get things known and get that story out there. We can actually, maybe get this back, or at least put enough pressure on the right people to get back what is ours. Give them one last time, to finish up what they needed, or do what they needed with something that they've been working on for literally 30 years. If we look at Michael Gross, it's 30 years. Stampede Entertainment, honestly, we go back 5 years before. They have 30 years too. I mean, you have to assume that they were working on the movie for years before it ever hit Michael Gross's desk. That's 30 years of giving your time to something, and whether it's Hollywood or anything like that, that's 30 years of your time. If you were working in a factory, would you not be a little bit upset if they just fired you one day and you didn't have a job? And you didn't even create that factory. You didn't design the parts and build the parts and create it and stress test it from ground up. People get mad about Zack Snyder and restore the Snyderverse. He didn't even make Batman. Zack Snyder didn't even make Superman, didn't make Wonder Woman, didn't make Cyborg and The Flash and Aquaman. Stampede made all of their own characters, all of their own monsters, their entire series. Because you have to realize that all of that creative goodwill, whatever you want to call it, got built up, gives you an almost story Bible to base the rest of everything that you need to off of. Honestly, I've used it to make my own Tremors movie, because you can ignore the last three and look at everything that Stampede made in 4 and the TV show and be like, okay, well, there's a very clear idea and presentation here. You just follow it. You don't mess with it. You just follow it, honestly. And it's not even a formula. It's more just rules for a world that gets set up that you don't break down. And they made this. They're 25 fucking years of blood, sweat, and tears. And they just get kicked out? Michael Gross just gets, oh, yeah, we don't really care. We're probably going to bring on John Hader as, your replacement. And again, no disrespect to John Hader or Jamie Kennedy. It's more just like, that is your response to the way that people have given you their lives for 30 years? That's really fucking shitty. Thank you. Awesome. Great. And that's where we're at now. I'm writing Tremors 8 Ouroboros, and I'm going to give it to Stampede Entertainment for free. I already got like 45 pages of it. And there's 30 some here. There's some more with Melvin I haven't shown you guys. I'm putting out hashtag Stampede Tremors into the universe. That's the one you use, guys. Stampede Tremors. And and it's not about hating the movies 5 through 7 or thinking that they're inherently bad too, because you can kind of halfway tell that with Michael Gross's help, the behind the scenes team does try to do their best for making Tremors like it was. It's just that there's so many other studio things pulling them in so many other different directions. Obviously, that just gets watered down and distilled to nothing until it's gone. Michael Gross had to actually tell somebody, one of the writers, Burt Gummer doesn't point his gun at a human being. Which is an obvious, if you're really paying attention to things, like, well, oh my god, yeah, dude would never try to shoot a person because he clearly knows that like people are nothing in comparison to giant worms that eat you underground. And bigger fish, be a better person. Also, gun safety 101. Don't point your gun at a person. You're not just gonna shoot. Michael Gross has to tell people this basic stuff. And maybe there is a claim to be had too that Don Michael Paul and Universal did have an idea here to like maybe use Tremors as like a drug running front. But again, I don't know. I more assume probably maybe money laundering tax scheme scenario. That's why you can literally have Tremors 6, which is a movie set in Greenland, that they film in South Africa and do a sand for snow shot. They literally tint everything blue in the entire movie rather than just go film at home. They film in South Africa, back to back with Tremors 5, Bloodlines. And I don't mean that like the filming production, but they like use South Africa twice. At least in Tremors 5, it like made sense because they were in South Africa. But when you have a set like Greenland, which you can easily accomplish in the TMZ or anywhere else in the Hollywood area, because it's fucking Canada, do it all the time. Or you just go to Canada, another cheaper alternative. No, we're going to fly all the way to South Africa, and we're going to film in South Africa, because that makes fucking sense. And then we'll CGI it later, because that costs less money. Again, you see these things, like, you're just like, to go back to that money thing from earlier, we're making so much money, we want more, but also not enough that we can give you anything. Fucking, what in the fucking... And... yeah, to literally, like I said, tint your entire movie blue because you decided to film in South Africa instead. I asked some questions about your behind the scenes. I do. I just question it a lot. So who knows, man? I don't know. I mean, I know everything that I just told you. I know a lot more, too. I mean, I could honestly... This video is hitting about an hour. I'm going to see if I can hit it just right under. But I could talk for hours about Tremors. If I wanted to, I could give you a commentary over top of each movie, give you a review of each movie, give you a review of every episode of the TV show. For what it's worth, Graboid writes episode 9, one of the best. And... yeah. What are you going to do about it? That's my thing to you, to leave you on. Do you like Tremors? Did you manage to listen to all 60 fucking goddamn minutes of this? Well, then, you should be upset too. I know we all would be. I don't think there's a person alive who could hear this story and not be some kind of pissed off. Even if you have no idea about the underlying movie or anything behind it. You'd be like, wow, people working on something for 30 years and they just get kicked. Well, that's where Burt Gummer Day comes in, man. And if Baby Fark McGeezax can create an entire holiday from nothing but love and giving a shit about Burt Gummer every April 14th, day after day after day after day, then we can make Tremors 8 Ouroboros happen. We can hashtag Stampede Tremors. We can give this back to Stampede Entertainment. We can fix all of this. We can. If we collectively say, no, this is bullshit and we don't want to deal with you anymore, Universal. Or Hollywood studios in general. Give these properties back to the people that made them. You only give a shit about Predator because fucking Jim and John Thomas made Predator 1 and Predator 2. There's no Predator 3. It gets weird and wonky after that. The only reason you give a shit. Terminator. The only reason you give a shit is because James Cameron fucking made 1 and 2 and were amazing films. Do you give a shit about Tremors? Do you want to? Because if you do, just read everything. Read it all. Get out there. Do something. Be like Baby Fark McGeezax or Megan Smiles and just go anywhere. For Steve, for Brent, for Nancy, for Ron, for Michael Gross, for Kevin Bacon, for Reba, for Fred Ward, for every damn person, Charlotte Stewart, Ariana Richards, Robert Jane, who besides Michael Gross is the only other person to manage to make it to the TV show of the movie cast. You know, Tony Gennaro, who died, you know, and Marcia Strassman, who died. Give these people fucking back their lives and what they were deserved all along. Is it that hard? Are we that cold as a people? Have we lost it? I don't think so. I really hope not. Otherwise, I've been talking to this camera for an hour for no reason. And I highly doubt that. Maybe one person. Just one. That's all it takes. Because if Baby Fark McGeezax can get Burt Gummer Day in Tremors 7, we can sure as hell get Tremors 8 in the hands of the people that made it. I can leave you on something. Don't really know what. Because it's so hopeless, it seems. But things are being done. Spread the word. Keep doing more and more. The more we get angry about it, the better it gets. And you can insert Tremors as whatever, you know, political cause you feel right about. But it does stand in for a lot. You know, I've protested the police murdering someone outside of my, you know, family's own house. Literally laid down on the ground for an hour on the anniversary of his death last year. Laid down in the ground on the spot where he died. And I still think that, you know, this entire Tremors crusade is a cause worth fighting and dying for. Like, I could probably go to jail for having Tremors 2's original script and the Tremors pilot and putting them out for everybody. But I don't really give a shit because they stole them anyway. So, like, I didn't sign anything. What are you going to fucking do to me? What are they going to do to you? What can they do? You know? What kind of supreme being would condone such irony? Think about it. And then if you don't feel like thinking about it, go watch some Tremors. Because that's probably what this video has made you really want to do. You know? Could you shut up? Hey! I don't need to spend the night out here. Crap, baby. Yeah, I know, right? So now you just want to go watch Tremors. Go watch them. 1, 2, 3, and the best movie of all 4. Yes, I mean that, folks. If you've listened to me talk for an hour, yes, I will say that Tremors 4 is actually the best movie of them all. I have my own personal reasons. It's great on story and character and subversion and sets up and knocks down so many things at the same time. I love it. The first one is a great movie. Honestly, it's a great movie in its own little tight little package. Then you have the second one too. Boom. The definition for what sequels should try to be. And then the third one's its own little kind of, like I said, meta romp till you finally get some TV show, which is the best of all. If you're going to watch some Tremors, watch the TV show. Watch the canceled TV show, please. It is 13 episodes of pure Tremory goodness. It has the greatest underused plot device in fucking history. Mixmaster. Right? Imagine you could take the DNA of any creatures and just combine them. You know, you take a frog, you take a spider, You take a bat, you got a biter, and it's flying and shooting webs and then going in and out of the water, and you'd be like, "The fuck?" Or you know, what if you could combine a graboid, a shrieker, and an ass blaster into one? Then you'd have a shrieking grab blaster. This is all possible through Mixmaster. Another great Steve Wilson idea, where you're just like, oh, wow, you know, what if I was just the creator of the best monster ideas in the universe, and I just happened to kind of write them out, just like so, like it was nothing. Seriously, Steve, you do an amazing job. Amazing. So yeah, go out, watch it. Go watch Tremors. You've already listened to me talking about it enough. That's really it. Yeah. Go watch Tremors. Hashtag Stampede Tremors. And look forward to Tremors 8 Ouroboros. Because it's fucking coming. The snake that eats its own tail. We come back around. As we always will. In the end. Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed this. Have a wonderful rest of your life.